What's up, peace family? Soul Conscious TV here to talk about the Rodney Reed case, the Stacey Sykes murder. All right, it's a 22-year-old case, man. We're gonna dive into this. Uh, First, man, let me do this, man. Why I'm looking into this case, man. First thing first, this guy, man. I'm subscribed to this guy, man. I'm thinking about to unsubscribe to him because this was just stupid, man. And you see, I put the dislike on there, man. And after y'all watch this video, man, y'all should go on this video. Tell this dude to take this video down, man, because he looking real crazy right now, man. And I don't like to call people out their names and nothing like that, man. But he almost made me go there, man. But yeah, I mean, I already did. He called him stupid, so that's good enough, man. I ain't got to call him a coon, but
case that is getting a lot of attention from your Kim Kardashians of the world, Rihanna, T.I., a lot of the, hip hop and urban superstars, as well as many folks on the left in general, your Pocahontas and many other people saying, hey, we got to free this man or at least get him off death row. He was wrongly implicated. He didn't do it. He's innocent, all this, that, and the third. Now, there's a lot to get into, a whole lot to quote unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say. I just want to start from the very beginning of this case so you understand what's going on. I got to give you some context as YouTube likes me to give. Now, in 1996, a young lady by the name of Stacey Stites, who was 19 years old, was apparently raped and murdered by somebody. The first suspect was her then fiance, who was a police officer, a guy by the name of Jimmy Fennell. But then Rodney Reed, his name somehow came up. Now, I'm not really sure how they pointed to Rodney Reed, but his name came up.
well, how you going? Look,
DNA matched because his DNA was found inside of her. He was convicted for the rape and murder. Now he's on death row. However, information now has come out to say that Rodney Reed and Stacey Stites were in a consensual affair. That's why his semen was inside of her. And her husband actually got locked up later for raping and kidnapping the woman while he was an officer, while he was on duty. I think he did 10 years for that. I'm not quite sure if he's out or whatever the case may be, but he did go to jail for that particular crime. So now it's pointing back towards the husband because he found out about the affair and then he decided to kill his wife. Somebody in jail, a snitch somewhere, whatever, said that he was Jimmy's celly or he would stay close to him. And then he heard him talking about, oh, I had to kill my N-word loving fiance. Okay.
okay, yeah, hold on. He said he don't know how Rodney Reed name came up in the case, but you go here and talk about please keep Rodney Reed on death row. Why are you saying please anyway? All right, so anyway. You don't know how Rodney Reed name came into the case. This is how Rodney Reed name came up in the case. He was seen walking around the tracks at 3:00 in the morning where the murder took place. All right. Where Stacey Stites she drove her husband's car to work. Let me break it down. Fuck that. Let me break it down. All right, Stacey Stites was getting. All right, yeah, she's 19 years old. She's about to get engaged to a man named Jimmy Fennell. All right. Jimmy Fennell has just become a police officer like a few months later. All right. So, with that being said, they are supposedly in love, quote unquote. All right. So, Stacey starts to go work at this place. It's 30 miles out from where she's living at. She's living in a place called Gibbon, Texas. She has to drive to the place is called, I think it's called Bastrop County, or Bastrop, the city of Bastrop. All right. She got to drive there to a grocery store called HEB. All right. She's working there so she can pay for her wedding dress so she could get married to Jimmy Fennell. All right. This is the story. I'm about to give y'all how it was given to me at first. All right. She's working there to pay for her wedding dress. All right. So, boom. One night. Oh well, let me give you her schedule. Okay, she goes to work at. She leaves for work at 2:30. She makes it to work at 3 a.m. in the morning. All right, which is dangerous. Okay, so she gets to work at 3 a.m. There's usually a guy out there that meets her, and they walk in together because it's it's dark outside. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, so they walk in together. They go to work together to open up the store. All right, and they stock the shelves, and then she comes comes home around noon, around 12 o'clock, and she lives in an apartment, which her mother lives right underneath her. All right, and her mother loved Jimmy Fennell. All right, and she was excited that it was getting married and everything. You know what I'm saying? Because let me tell you this about Stacy. Stacy had a little rough little teenage years. All right, Stacy got pregnant, and she knew she wasn't gonna be able to take care of the baby, so she gave the baby up for adoption. All right, so not judging or nothing like that. All right, Stacy the victim. I'm not trying to bash Stacy at all through this whole video. All right, so anyway, oh my God, yeah, just come on, man. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, I'm here, cuz. All right. Okay, yeah. And where was I at? All right, Stacy pulls. All right. So yeah, Stacy goes to work. She got to be there at 3 o'clock in the morning. All right. Then she usually comes home at 12. All right. Waits for Jimmy to get off work and about 8 o'clock. And then Jimmy goes to mom's house, gets his wife. They go upstairs and do the cycle all over again. All right. So this night, she does the same thing. She goes home. Well, she goes to her mom's house, which is right underneath her apartment. All right. Waits for Jimmy to get off. Jimmy gets off. Jimmy goes to the mom's, pick her up. They go upstairs. It's like 8 o'clock. It's like now, it's around 9 o'clock this night. All right, this is April 22nd, 1995. So they go upstairs. Jimmy says Stacy goes immediately to sleep at 8 o'clock. I mean, at 9 o'clock. She goes straight to sleep. Jimmy stays up for a couple hours, and he ends up falling asleep. Okay, so this is what tripped me out at first. Jimmy says Stacy takes the car. He don't know what time she leave or nothing. He just said Stacy take the truck to go to work. But usually, sometimes she drive her mom car, and then sometimes she drive old boy truck, Jimmy truck. All right, so today she drives Jimmy truck. All right, Jimmy was asleep. He said he didn't even realize that she had left. All right, so she cuts out. She's supposed to be at work at 3 o'clock. She's never late. So this day, she's late. So the guy who's usually out there waiting on her, he gets worried because she's never late. All right, so he's worried about Stacy. So automatically, he's like, she's missing. Something's up. All right, so they start looking for her. Around 5 o'clock in the morning, they find her body, and it's in a place called Pine. What's it called? The Lost Pines, or Bastrop Pines. All right, it's a wooded area, and she's found in the tall grass by somebody. All right, so coroner and forensics comes out, and they're doing tests. So this is where I'm gonna start the video at right now. But matter of fact, let me start right now, because this is the forensics was what they're gonna show you. But Rodney Reed is not came into this, not yet. I don't want to bring Rodney Reed into this just yet. All right, but he's coming, man. He got to. All right, so Stacy's body is found. All right, the truck was missing too. He got a little S10 truck. I wonder, do I got that picture? I got it's so much information. Yeah, I'm sorry. It is so much, man. This is gonna be a lot. Y'all bear with me, man. Just bear with me, man. Okay, here we go. Here's the truck, man. So y'all can get a visual of what we talk about. All right, there's Stacy. Here's the truck. All right. So when they pull up, they find the truck parked in a school. All right. It's parked not by the store that she works at. All right. it's not even really on the route that she would take to get to the store. All right. It's like on the other side of town. When I say the other side of town, you know what I'm talking about. It's on the black side of town. All right. At a school, parked at a school parking lot. All right. And there was a cop that rolled by and seen it and he said he looked suspicious. All right. So boom, then you got this missing person report. So he goes back to the truck, checks it out. He sees a belt laying there that's been snapped. Not cut, but snapped. Like somebody used a lot of force and snapped it. All right. So come to find out, Jimmy gets up. Jimmy's like his truck is well, they can't find Stacy. And they're calling around looking for Stacy. So Jimmy's worried now, allegedly. So Jimmy goes out there and goes identifies his truck. So when he pulls up to identify his truck, the police want him to look inside there and see if he see anything that's, you know what I'm saying, not supposed to be or anything extra. What's going on? All right. So Jimmy's like, and he sees some stuff that shouldn't be there. All right. Like a broken glass. She got her mug for work. She got a mug for work and it's broken. And Jimmy sees that. He's like, yeah, that ain't right. And the belt, he said, that ain't supposed to be there. That's her belt. He identified it as her belt, you know, and so they got to go do forensics on the truck. All right. So around about 9:30, after they find the truck, a few hours later, they find Stacy. Well, somebody finds Stacy. Somebody's walking through the woods and they find Stacy. All right. So Stacy's body is automatically going to get forensics done. So, all right. So that's how it should go. When you doing a case, you find a body, you go do forensics. All right. And a lot of this stuff was not done right. This is 1995, y'all. And DNA testing it wasn't as good as it is now. So let's do this. All right. This video is gonna go pretty quick, all right. But check out how they treating the body. Turn this up.
They found that Rodney Reed's DNA is identical to the DNA evidence recovered from Stacy's body.
Okay, Rodney Reed becomes a suspect because he was walking around at 3:00 in the morning. And that's not the only reason he became a suspect. He had got into, let's say, an altercation with a young lady, and they said it was an attempted sexual assault on this lady. Her name is Sluicer. We're going to get to her too. All right. A lady named Sluicer. So they brought Rodney Reed in, and they wanted to get a DNA test, but they didn't need to get no DNA from Rodney right then because they already had Rodney DNA because Rodney has been accused of rape before, like a couple of times. All right, so when I'm listening to the story, it's just not looking good for Rodney. All right, so everything's not looking good for Rodney. All right, so anyway, so yeah, they bring Rodney in for questioning and stuff. And Rodney got they found a match, man. Rodney DNA is inside Stacy Stites. All right. Rodney DNA is inside Stacy Stites. Okay, so Rodney, this is where Rodney messed up at. All right, and this is a lesson for everybody, man. All right, let's do this.
So they basically get Rodney into the police station on a drug-related charge. But it all seems pretty much kind of a ruse in order to ask him about Stacy.
Yeah, that drug case, I just want to kind of push it off to the side. Of course, you know that I'm one of the investigators on the Stacy Stites murder. What I want to know from you is if you know this girl. And if you do, when did you meet her? Have you ever met her? Or do you even know who she is?
No idea.
Now, look, this is where he messed up at. Don't say shit. Do not say shit. Because even if he's trying to do the right thing. But he did the total wrong. Do not fucking talk to the police ever. Anything you say will be used against you in the court of law. That is a fact. That's why your lawyer always tell you, do not say shit. Wait on me to get there. But you always, it's like human nature, man. He know that Stacey is dead because of the news. So he don't want nothing to do with it. I understand. But at the same time, when you say no, you don't know Stacey Stites, and they find out that you do, you're in a world of trouble. All right, so that's first thing first, man.
I don't know what Stacey say. I've seen that stuff on the news and stuff like that, but I don't know that person.
Never dated her.
No, I haven't.
It was only after they met.
He was better off not saying shit. He was better off not saying shit. All right, so boom. They got the semen inside of her. They know something's up. All right, so boom, they arrest him off top. All right. And after that interview, he asked for the lawyer. After he realized he was a suspect, he asked for the lawyer. All right, so anyway. Man, it's so much stuff. Okay, so all right, Rodney's locked up. So Rodney has to get defense attorneys. All right, it's like $50,000 for a defense attorney, man. All right, in a capital murder case, this is a capital murder case, y'all. They are in this little town. They don't get capital murder cases. All right, so the public defender is gonna be over fucking whelmed. Most lawyers in this town is gonna be overwhelmed with this case. This case is too massive for this town. All right, so with that being said, let's keep it pushing, man. Let's keep it pushing. All right, let me see if I got some. Because I don't want to skip nothing, man. Got a lot of stuff to get to. Okay, so let's all right. So after bro realized that, after Rodney Reed realized he messed up, man. He's like, okay, yeah, I did know her and we were having a relationship. All right, so that explains why the semen's in it. All right, and he said it was 2 days or 1 day before that they had consensual sex. All right, but he didn't want to say nothing because he knows she's married and he got somebody on the side, so they creeping, they both creeping, so he didn't want to say nothing. All right, but man, it's too deep, man. All right, so she was weeks away from marrying her fiance when she went missing. All right, just 19 years old at the time, Stites didn't show up for work one morning in 1996 and was found dead hours later. Investigators said she had been raped and strangled, then left on the side of the road. It was a horrific crime that rocked the small town of Bastrop, Texas. All right, Rodney Reed, DNA was found inside her. He said it was a consensual relationship. All right, he needed witnesses to back this up. Nobody would come forward on this man's behalf because this is a small town. It's 80% white. All right, this is back in the 90s. This ain't the social media era. All right, social media didn't exist. It just didn't exist. All right, the internet barely existed. All right, so Stites family, like, man, that's a lot. The Stites family, they love Jimmy Fennell. Jimmy Fennell, that's his name. They love Jimmy. Jimmy was a cop. He was a pure white boy. They liked Jimmy. They weren't trying to hear shit about no damn Rodney Reed. All right, but I'm trying not to give away a lot of this shit. They weren't trying to hear shit about no Rodney Reed, man. All right, so Jimmy, let's get on Jimmy. Let's talk about Jimmy for a minute. Let's talk about Jimmy for a minute. Jimmy said his fiance had been sleeping around with a black man behind his back. The affidavit says. Now look, this is 20 years later. People start coming out the woodworks. Yeah, they did know about the relationship. There's even one lady. Let me see if I can find her right quick. Yeah, here we go to one lady. This is years later, 20 years later. This lady comes up and says, yeah, she knew about Rodney Reed's relationship with Stacey Stites.
We talked about girl things, boyfriends. Stacy told me that she was engaged to a police officer in Giddings. It was one of the days at lunch, and I asked her about her engagement ring and if she was really excited to get married. And she then proceeded to tell me that she wasn't that excited because she was sleeping with a black guy named Rodney. I was, wow, Stacy, you need to be careful. In the 90s, Bastrop, Texas did not have many interracial couples. It was kind of an underlining racism that no one really talked about because that's just how it was back then. Stacy did say that she was worried about Jimmy and what he would do if he ever found out she was cheating on him. So she had told me that she was sleeping with Rodney, and it was about a month later that she was murdered. When I found out.
All right. So, yeah. That's a friend that was working at the grocery store with her. That she had to let people know, man. All right. Because how the fuck did Jimmy find out? All right. And Jimmy's a cop. All right. Now, because I'm gonna put my little twist on it at the end. I mean, it ain't a twist. It's what the evidence is pointing towards me. All right. What the evidence is pointing me towards. Let's see. Let's go through this. I'm trying to go as slow as possible, y'all, because I don't want to miss. Now, the devil's in the detail. All right, the devil's in the fucking details, y'all. Hate to keep cussing, but all right. So, says do like her family was coming out. She got a cousin. Red Rock resident Calvin Buddy Horton says in the affidavit that he saw his cousin Stites and Reed at a Dairy Queen at Bastrop in 1995, months before prosecutors said Reed raped and murdered Stacey Stites. This is his cousin. This is years later, man. They coming out years later because, like she said, this was a low key racist ass town. All right, so I got even more witnesses, y'all. It do not stop. A man convicted and sentenced to death for a 1996 Bastrop County murder. He says he did not commit, was found a new ally and a family member of the victim in the case. A cousin of Stacey Stites has come forward saying he knew that Rodney Reed and Stites were in a secret relationship prior to her murder. Yeah, this is Calvin Buddy Horton. All right. Now, like I showed you, that guy in the beginning, man. Now look at his production. I had to delete that shit. But did you see his production? Now look at my production. He's the host, right? I'm the host. He got like 10 motherfuckers doing research for him. And that was the best he could. I'm my research department, bro. I do all my own research, bro. And I'm dropping names like a motherfucker right now. All right, so man, let's keep it pushing here. All right, so Jimmy. Okay, so the police, I give it to them. They had to, because when your wife die, your fiance die, you're going to be the first motherfucker that they're looking at. There's no getting around that. So Jimmy was the first one that they was looking at, and they had to dismiss it because it was 3:00 in the morning. She drives from Gibbons to this little town, man, Bastrop. She drives from Gibbons to Bastrop. It's 30 miles away. She has Jimmy truck. The police was like, they got to dismiss him. They got to dismiss Jimmy because Jimmy had no way to get back home in that amount of time. So that's what really saved Jimmy ass. Because Jimmy was looking bad. And let me show you how bad Jimmy was looking, because 5 facts you need to know about Jimmy. Yeah, he had him on. All right, hold on. Because I want to. Hold on. Yeah, okay. I don't want to get to the abusive part just yet. All right. Yeah, Jimmy took out my man. I got a lot, man, on Jimmy. I'm on Jimmy ass today. All right, here we go. Initially, police suspected Stites' fiance, a former police officer named Jimmy Fennell, of killing Stites. The suspicions were heightened when Fennell failed 2 lie detector tests. He didn't just fail one, ladies and gentlemen. This motherfucker, his deception is so grand. He failed 2 of them bitches. But you can't use that in court. It's admissible. He failed 2 lie detector tests administered by police, but police failed to match Fennell's DNA to evidence found on Stites' body. They didn't have sex. She's fucking Rodney. Rodney's fucking her. Probably well. So she don't even want. Oh, man. And that's enough to make you. All right, let's keep it pushing. Because guess what? All right. He fails the test. Still, they like, well, there's no way he could have got back home in time. All right. So they dismiss Jimmy. Then they find a semen. Months later, they run into Rodney Reed, who gets convicted of another crime similar to that one. So they put 2 and 2 together. They check Rodney DNA. It matches up with Stacey Stites. All right, so they're like, open and shut case. No, because they was having an affair. They were having an affair. All right. Now, Stacey Stites, she's 19 years old, man. Now, from what I'm hearing, man, Jimmy used to have her come home from work, cook, clean, do laundry. I mean, she was basically a slave for this motherfucker. All right. And she was getting tired of that shit, man. From what I was hearing. All right. She's 19, man. I might want to do all that shit. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't ready for all that, man. All right. But, you know, the mom loved him. And so she wanted to make her mom happy, man. And she already had the baby out of wedlock and stuff. So she just looked like she wanted to just please her mom, man. So that's the way I'm looking at it, man. But all right, let me hit you up with the bombshell. All right, so they go to trial for Rodney Reed, and the prosecutor, they busting the defense ass, because I mean they got to see it, man. They don't really. The public defenders can do. They only had 60 days to prepare for the trial, ladies and gentlemen. They only had 60 days to prepare for this trial. This trial is a capital murder. You give a public defender 60 days, there's no way they could have won. All right, so yes, Rodney Reed ended up being convicted of the murder. Of the murder and rape. We're gonna get to the rape part too. All right, so with that being said, Jimmy's free to do whatever the fuck he want to do now. So Jimmy chooses to go out and rape motherfuckers. Yeah. Kidnapped in 2007, then Georgetown PD Sergeant Jimmy Fennell Jr. kidnapped a 20-year-old woman. He like him young. He encountered while on duty and answering a call, telling her he was going to give her a ride to meet her up with her boyfriend. Instead, he took her to a park, slammed her against the rear quarter panel of his patrol vehicle, pulled out his gun, put it by her head, and raped her. He got 10 years for that. And these motherfuckers would be like, well, he did his time, and that don't mean that he killed Stacy. You right. That don't mean he killed Stacy. But that ain't all the evidence I got against this motherfucker, man. Yeah, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Now look, check this out. Got Rodney Reed sitting in jail. Now we got Jimmy Fennell sitting in jail, and Stacey Stites is dead. It's all looking bad. All right. So let's dig a little deeper. Okay, we got the crime scene photos. I don't want to show that, man. Matter of fact. All right. So this. With that being said, Jimmy Fennell gets charged with a rape. So still the case don't open back up. But even though, you know what I'm saying, it should have. See, this the thing. They really didn't look into this case, man, because they never went to the apartment where Jimmy and Stacy lived at. They should have investigated that apartment, not just the car. I mean, not just the truck. They should have investigated the apartment and seen what was in the apartment. Is there any blood splatter or anything in the apartment? They never investigated the apartment. These motherfucking police and investigators were so trash, bro. Like, man, a shitty detective knows to do that. A shitty detective knows. Come on, man. Just. All right. So anyway, David Hall. Let's do this. According to court documents, a beer can found at the crime scene had fingerprints on it that matched Fennell's friend and colleague, Giddings police officer David Hall. Now, as I'm telling y'all this story, I'm pretty sure y'all starting to realize, man, like, okay, the police helped Jimmy out after he killed this bitch. Yeah. That's what I'm starting to see. And I don't mean to call her a bitch. That slipped out. But the police helped Jimmy out. And now, because they never tested them beer cans. It's a beer can found right next to it. They never tested the beer cans. Or they did, or they just didn't give it to the defense. Which, like I said, the defense only had 60 days to come up with a case for this. So they really framed Rodney Reed, if you think about it. Now, this is what I think happened, man. Let me do this real quick. Okay. He found out because let me keep going through these little. All right. Now, the sister think that Rodney Reed did it, of course, because she's probably a racist. But anyway, all right. And we're gonna get on to rigor mortis. All right, the public defender only has 60 days. All right. All right. Now look, during the sentencing, all right, they found Rodney Reed guilty. Now they had the sentencing. So the prosecutor brought up 5 women to testify against Rodney Reed. These 5 women testified against Rodney Reed. All right. In doing so, they hit him over the head. It was nothing to do after that. I mean, after them 5 women testified that he did the same thing to them, it was over for Rodney Reed. But they just got to testify. They didn't present no physical evidence that Rodney Reed committed these crimes. And one lady said that they made her say the shit. She said she didn't remember who the fuck raped her. She said, I know for a fact I can't identify the person, but they still made her go up there and and give her a statement. Now, this what really did it. This what really put it over the edge. A 12-year-old girl got raped, and that's what Anthony Brown Logan was gonna say. That was his main thing. A 12-year-old girl got raped, and they was trying to blame it on Rodney Reed. And that was it for Anthony Brown Logan. But I mean, like I said, man, I'm my research team, and I can find out. I can get the affidavit. I can get the affidavit. What's that? Affidavit for the search warrant, the state of Texas, county of Bastrop. Try to zoom in for y'all a little bit. The undersigned affiant, being an investigator for the Bastrop Police Department, a duly licensed peace officer under the laws of Texas, and being duly sworn on oath, makes the following statements: that my name is David Board, and I am an investigator for the Bastrop Police Department, and investigating officer assigned to the case number something, the state of Texas versus James Slaughter. James Slaughter is presently a suspect in this case. All right. That on or about September 6, 1989, Georgia L. Compton, criminal investigator for Bastrop County District Attorney's Office, personally interviewed the victim, who stated that she was sexually assaulted and forced to submit to a sexual intercourse by a man who was named, as she knew, as James Slaughter. This is the 12-year-old girl that they're talking about. This is their main thing that they got going against the brother Rodney Reed. All right. Fight lies with truth. Rodney Reed did not rape a 12-year-old girl. This is a fabrication by David Board and Lisa Tanner, who used racist lynch mob propaganda to distract the public from their weak case against Reed. Case is weak as fuck. This is the affidavit. This is the affidavit. I mean, come on, man. And he got 10 motherfuckers working for me. He can't pull this up. Yeah, a man by the name of James Slaughter. The victim said James Slaughter raped her. Now, the reason why they doing this because they're on Jimmy Fennell's side. They have been covering up for Jimmy for years. He had to make Rodney look as bad as possible. Ain't nothing worse than that. All right, so let's keep it pushing. Yeah, they did not search. Authorities never searched the apartment of Fennell and Stacy shared together, although it was her last known location before she was killed. Fennell also had a history of violence and sexual harassment while on the job, according to the Intercept. Jimmy Fennell. Yeah, okay. All right, so yeah. Well, we already know that Jimmy's sitting in jail. He got 10 years. Rodney Reed sitting in jail. He got the death penalty. All right, which is why this story is coming up, because it's getting closer and closer to Rodney Reed to face the death penalty. All right, now everybody's jumping on this case, man, and I'm just presenting facts. It might be alternative facts, but trying to look at this as a objectively as possible. I'm just seeing a lot of holes in this stories, man. All right, the officer Richard Derluth claimed that the employees at the grocery store where Stites worked told him they would remain on the lookout for Fennell. Fennell is Jimmy Fennell, the cop, and would tell Stites to run and hide from Jimmy if he showed up. Right, and like I said, these people coming out years later. This is November 15th, 2019. This happened in 96. All right, but they're painting a picture. All right, now he's scheduled for execution, I believe, January 17th, 2021. All right. But they got a delay back in November 25th. November 15th, 2019. They got a delay in the execution. All right, because it's too much stuff coming out. Now, this is Stites' neighbor. Investigation and conviction. Stites' body was found off a rural highway outside of Bastrop around 3:30. And man, this is another thing, man, for my YouTube people, man. I'm seeing a lot of numerology in this. A lot. Like 3:30, that's 33. All right, that day. After a neighbor complained that the couple was having a drunken argument. None of this came up during the trial, that they was having an argument that night. All of this came up late. You know what I'm saying? But better now than never, man. Yeah, I don't think they were in love or nothing like that, man. It just was the flame, man. They was Rodney was 29, she was 19. So, and Rodney was a free spirit, according to Bastard Police. Rodney was a free spirit. He got in a little trouble, man, but he used to box the own gloves, and he was an athlete. Feel me? A big guy. All right, so man, there's more. There's more. Now we can get into this shit. All right. So while Jimmy Fennell is locked up in prison for the rape of the 20-year-old girl, he goes to the Aryan Brotherhood and he tells this one guy, I got his name. His name is Arthur Snow. Arthur Snow, according to his affidavit, Snow was a leader of the Aryan Brotherhood, white supremacist gang at the Stevenson unit in Kuro at the time of his conviction with Fennell. He was locked up. This dude is locked up with Fennell. He's a Aryan Brotherhood white supremacist. This motherfucker came out and told on Jimmy. He has no reason to like Rodney Reed at all. But after years, man, of knowing this shit, you know, this man locked up for some shit that he didn't do. Even the white supremacists had to come out and motherfucker snitch on Jimmy. A former inmate has submitted a sworn affidavit on behalf of Texas death row inmate Rodney Reed, claiming the fiance of murder victim Stacy Stites confessed to killing her. Reed was found guilty of Stites' 1996 murder in Bastrop County. Reed and his supporters have maintained his innocence, saying key evidence such as the murder weapon has never been tested for DNA. All right, because look, this is the thing about the murder weapon. Usually when you get choked and strangled to death, there's a bone or a muscle that usually gets damaged. All right. And that didn't happen in this case. All right. Matter of fact, in Jimmy's truck, that little red truck, there was some fluid found on the floor. They never tested that fluid. All right. There's another fact. Stacy Stites' lungs were filled with fluid. She had fluid coming out her nose and her mouth. All right. Yeah, this is graphic, man. All right. I'm sorry. She had fluid coming out her nose and her mouth. Lungs is filled with fluid. They never tested the fluid to see if it's water or what it was. Never even tested the fluid. So this is my theory. I believe they was at the house. They had an argument. He found out she was messing with Rodney Reed. And he grabbed a belt and he choked her. But he drowned her in a tub, face first. All right. Because there's a such thing called lividity. Lividity is when your heart stops pumping blood So whichever way you laying down when your heart stops pumping blood, whichever way you laying down, whether you face up or face down, your blood is gonna sink to. If you facing up, your blood is gonna sink to the bottom. If you facing down, your blood is gonna rush to the front, and it's gonna stay there. It's called lividity. All right, lividity has set in like she was face down, like she'd been face down for hours. But when they found her in the woods, she was face up. So that didn't make sense. It looked like the body had been moved, all right, after death. Okay. And plus, there was bruises on her and a burn mark. There was mutilation to the body after the fact. She had punches to the head. She had a bruised brain. All this was after the fact. Like, if you Rodney Reed, like, that seemed like a act of passion. Like, you love this motherfucker. Even after death, you still hitting on him. That seemed like some shit Jimmy Fennell would do, man. All right. Hold on. There's more. Got Stice's neighbor. About Charles Wayne Fletcher. Charles Wayne Fletcher, who was a local officer and considered himself a friend of Fennell and Stites, wrote an affidavit stating in March of 1996, Fennell told him Stites was effing a N-word. Fennell and Stites are white and Reed is black. Stites' dead body was found 1 month later. Oh, wait, there's more. Remember I told you about that beer can that was found out there? The beer can was found out there, and it belonged to a guy named Ed. I got Ed name, last name. I gotta have Ed last name. We need Ed last name. I might not. Here we go. Here go Ed. Here go Ed. Now this is where the conspiracy theory. My inner conspiracy theorist. When I heard this, I lost it. It's just. Whew, okay, here we go. One of the officers, Ed. I ain't even try to pronounce that name. Died 4 months after the investigation began. His death was ruled a suicide, but his brother told Austin Statesman he doesn't believe that's true. Cops also didn't bother to search Stites and Fennell's home after her body was discovered. A possible spiritual move to protect one of their own. Okay, but Ed Samala, he was the other person. It was 2 beers out there. One of them belonged to a guy named David Hall. That is Jimmy Fennell's partner. The other one belonged to another cop named Ed Somalia. Ed Somalia turned up dead. They tried to say it was a suicide. Ed Somalia's friend, who was his neighbor, he was moving into the apartments. He went over to Ed's house. Hollered at Ed. Ed said he was about to go do some shit. He got to go get some money out the bank and all this shit. Because Ed knew they were about to come kill him. All right. Because they was going to have to, because they got to tie up these loose ends. All right. So they gotta tie up these loose ends. So Ed go take some money out. He hollered at his buddy. His buddy goes back downstairs. Ed goes in the house. Moments later, you hear a gunshot. And then the buddy runs out. He goes to Ed's house because Ed's a cop. So he goes to Ed's house to get Ed to do something. He knocks on the door, but Ed don't answer the door. So he goes back down and calls the police. And the police said they was on their way. Boom, he goes back outside, and the police is already at the door. The weirdest shit ever. The police are already at the door. They were in the house. They were already there. Oh, man. Let's just play this, man. It's gonna play so bad. All right, yeah.
In 3 weeks, the state of Texas is set to execute Rodney Reed, the Bastrop County man, and is on death row for the 1996 murder of Stacy Stites. And tonight, a new witness has come forward claiming Stites' fiance told him he killed her. KV's Patrick Perez has a look at that new claim and a new interview with Rodney Reed you'll see only on KView.
I feel that the truth is out there, that they do know, the state knows that I'm innocent, but whether they're willing to acknowledge it.
Speaking from prison, Rodney Reed is still fighting to save his life.
Hey, one more thing for my numerologists out there. One more thing. Look at the 56.
The 51-year-old is on death row for the 1996 murder of Stacy Stites in Bastrop County. With his execution date just 3 weeks away, Reed is keeping himself busy.
Think about family, my children, my grandchildren, my mom, my brothers, family, and my friends.
His supporters have been rallying to get Governor Greg Abbott to issue a stay and reopen the investigation into his case. That includes a request filed Wednesday asking the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles to recommend Governor Abbott turn Reed's death sentence into a life sentence. The Innocence Project cites a new witness who claims Stites' former fiance, Jimmy Fennell, told him while the two were serving time in prison that he killed Stites. Fennell was convicted of kidnapping and sexually assaulting a woman in 2007. Still, Reed knows there's a chance these recent efforts by his family and supporters may not go far.
Here the last couple of days, I kind of been thinking about it, but the support and love that's out there for me, I try not to think about being executed.
In Austin, Patrick Perez, KView News.
Okay, yeah. Let me now back on Ed, man, because Ed, this what took the cake for me. All right, the police was already out there. They do an investigation. Hold on, Red. They do an investigation, right? And Ed is shot on the left side of his head. All right. The bullet goes through Ed's head and comes out the bottom of his jaw. Off top, that's suspicious. You know, all right, I ain't gonna get graphic with it. Just picture it in your own head. All right, so with that being said, Ed, according to his colleagues, is right-handed, and he would never shoot a gun with his left. Never, ever shoot a gun with his left hand. They said his left hand shakes really bad, so he would never shoot a gun with his left hand. So, man. Oh, man, I don't know how that's going to play out, man, but that one dude, that Anthony Brian Logan, that motherfucker pissed me all the way off. And you go watch that video and look at the comments, man. They are getting his ass together because what fucking case are you looking at, dude? Like, I understand, man, that's your thing, and you like to take advantage of conservatives. That's what he's doing, man. He's taking advantage of conservatives. He just because most conservatives think that, oh yeah, he did it. Of course he did it. No, motherfucker, there's a lot of evidence, man. Y'all didn't even get the defense enough time to get their own forensic people to come in there and go over the case. I ain't gonna, man. Matter of fact, I'm not even gonna get into the forensics part, man, because it's too graphic. You know what I'm saying? If I get to talk about the forensics, man, and that's gonna be a whole another hour of just forensics, how they fucked all that up. Oh yeah, they fucked it up. Yeah, he just got released 2 years ago. And look, there go her sister. Let's watch this. How long is this? 3 minutes? Yeah, we got time. Let's watch this right quick. I want to hear what the hell she got to say.
First and 6
She about to defend this mother.
Officer released from prison after serving 9.5 years for kidnapping and raping a woman he'd arrested. The family of his murdered fiance is cheering his new freedom, insisting he's not a killer.
Jimmy is not guilty of this. He didn't murder my sister. Jimmy loved my sister and was going to be a good husband.
But not all members of Stacey Stites' family are convinced. He was the first person of interest in his fiance's murder, and attorneys for the man who was convicted of the crime, Rodney Reed, are trying to reignite that suspicion. KXAN's Brittany Glass traveled to Huntsville for Fennell's release.
More than 20 years after her sister's murder, Deborah Oliver says her family has been silent long enough.
They were very happy together. They were looking forward to getting married. And never have we thought that Jimmy was guilty of murdering my sister ever.
Loved ones of Stacey Stites say they stand by the man she was about to marry.
You know, when you're a juror and you gotta go in there and deliberate, man, you're supposed to have shouldn't be no reasonable doubt. When you convict a man, there should be no reasonable doubt, man. So I don't see how they could convict him and say it was no reason. I mean, I know the defense didn't have enough time to get the shit really together, but just for the simple fact he felt a lie detector test. Yes, I mean. Woo. Yo, man, peace, y'all. Peace. Oh, man, y'all tore this up. Don't skip nothing. All right, what's going on? What did he do? OMG, GGG. What's going on? Don't skip nothing. Sure, her husband didn't do it. Why did her husband kill her? Because he's talking. A matter of fact, okay, yeah, hold on. I got my shit. Okay, here go David Hall time card. Shit, don't skip nothing. All right. I don't want to read all this shit. Yeah, he was afraid of fennel. Yeah, I know about that. All right. Yeah, so David Hall time card. There's some funny style stuff with that. Key players ignored. Witnesses, they ignored a lot of key players, man, like David Hall, who, okay, look, why is David Hall DNA on that beer can next to across from the body of Stacey Stites? David Hall is Jimmy Fennell's partner on the force. They wondering how the only thing that saved Jimmy Fennell's ass was the fact that they couldn't figure out how he made it home 30 miles away. When there's a beer can of his buddy right there by the body. And then his time card, his buddy time card, there's some finicky shit going on with that. So with that being said, that's how he got home. He got a ride from his buddy. Just I can't just spell it out for you because I don't want to get kicked the fuck out. But yeah, just put two and two together. Just put, man, it's way more shit. I'm just scratching the surface. But that's what tripped me up. The Ed Somalia, when they killed Ed Somalia to cover the shit up, man. I mean, come on, man. Let's see, man. I'm trying to get to something good, man. All right, the court set aside $4,500 for investigative work on Reed's death row appeals. The money ran out 2 years ago. Stacey Stites met Jimmy Fallon 6 years ago this weekend in 1995, Smithville Jamboree. See in a minute. All right, let's see how they met. So don't skip nothing. I went through the whole thing. I thought we done went through the whole thing. And there's no way to just scroll down peacefully. Stacey put down money on a wedding dress. They plan to get married in 96. All right. But there's witnesses at her job. I just played the video. You must ain't see the whole video, lady. This lady must ain't see the whole video. Here we go.
Because that's just how it was back then. Stacey did say that she was worried about Jimmy. To tell me that she wasn't that excited because and if she friends, Stacey told me that she was engaged to a police.
I'm going back. I'm skipping, but I'm going back.
Stacey and I worked at a grocery store in Bastrop, Texas.
H-E-B.
Stacey and I hung out at work only. We talked about girl things, boyfriends. Stacey told me that she was engaged to a police officer in Giddings. It was one of the days at lunch, and I asked her about her engagement ring and if she was really excited to get married. And she then proceeded to tell me that she wasn't that excited because she was sleeping with a black guy named Rodney. I was, wow, Stacey, you need to be careful. In the 90s, Bastrop, Texas did not have many interracial couples. It was kind of an underlying racism that no one really talked about because that's just how it was back then. Stacey did say that she was worried about Jimmy and what he would do if he ever found out she was cheating on him. So she had told me that she was sleeping with Rodney, and it was about a month later that she was murdered. When I found out Stacey had died, my first thought was, did she get caught cheating?
Okay, thank you for being here, and thank you for...
All right, hold on. Because the only reason we're here today is because of this asshole. Oh, wait a minute. Mike Tyson don't need to fight nobody else. Please stop that shit.
If you're looking for a trusted and reliable, there's a lot to get into, a whole lot to quote unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say. I just want to start from the very beginning of this case so you understand what's going on. I got to give you some context as YouTube likes me to give. Now, in 1996, a young lady by the name of Stacey Stites, who was 19 years old, was apparently raped and murdered by somebody. The first suspect was her then fiance, who was a police officer, a guy by the name of Jimmy Fennell. But then Rodney Reed, his name somehow came up. Now, I'm not really sure how they pointed to Rodney Reed, but his name came up. DNA matched because his DNA was found inside of her. He was convicted for the rape and murder. Now he's on death row. However, information now has come out to say that Rodney Reed and Stacey Stites were in a consensual affair. That's why his semen was inside of her. And her husband actually got locked up later for raping and kidnapping the woman while he was an officer, while he was on duty. I think he did 10 years for that. I'm not quite sure if he's out or whatever the case may be, but he did go to jail for that particular crime. So now it's pointing back towards the husband because he found out about the affair and then he decided to kill his wife. somebody in jail, a snitch songbird, whatever, said that he was Jimmy's celly or he would stay close to him. And then he heard him talking about, oh, I had to kill my N-word loving fiance. Okay, that's what he says. So as a result of all these pieces of information, all these quote unquote revelations, people have coalesced left and right, a lot of celebrities around this case of freeing Rodney Reed from jail, or at least taking him off of death row so he doesn't get the needle, the rope, whatever they want to give him. Now, we got to go back to the trial to understand why he got death row to begin with. Obviously, if you rape and murder somebody, you're going to go to jail for a long time. But what would take the rape and murder away from a regular murder conviction to a capital murder where you get death row? There were at least 5 to 6 other rapes that his DNA, not just he was a suspect, his DNA linked him to. Okay.
That is not true. That is not true. That's what I was going through with people
now, if you hear from the lawyer, Rodney Reed's lawyer, he may say, oh, it's just, he was a suspect. It wasn't really proven. Maybe that's true, but it's very misleading. If your DNA, your actual sperm is found within 6 other women who have open rape cases, rape and murder or whatever, I mean, that's a pretty big indication that it could be you. In the case of Stacey Stites, maybe it wasn't because there was an affair going on. But when your DNA is found within a disabled woman, a 12-year-old girl.
Now, the disabled woman, he was dating the disabled woman. The 12-year-old girl, I just showed you. You can go back. James Slaughter did that. Here's the affidavit. Got both pages. A signed affidavit saying that a man named James Slaughter is the one who raped the 12-year-old girl. Now, look, like I said, look at his production. Look at the production.
If you're looking for a trusted and reliable source of news, check out my friends over at Patriot Post.
Look at his production. He got like 5 motherfuckers doing research for him. I'm doing my research my own fucking self.
He go to jail for that particular crime. So now it's pointing back towards the husband because he found out about the affair and then he decided to kill his wife. Somebody in jail, a snitch songbird, whatever, said that he was Jimmy's celly or he would stay close to him. And then he heard him talking about, oh, I had to kill my N-word loving fiance. Okay, that's what he says. So as a result of all these pieces of information, all these quote unquote revelations, people have coalesced left and right, a lot of celebrities around this case of freeing Rodney Reed from jail, or at least taking him off of death row so he doesn't get the needle, the rope, whatever they want to give him. Now, we got to go back to the trial to understand why he got death row to begin with. Obviously, if you rape and murder somebody, you're going to go to jail for a long time. But what would take the rape and murder away from a regular murder conviction to a capital murder where you get death row? There were at least 5 to 6 other rapes that his DNA, not just he was a suspect, his DNA linked him to. Okay. Now, if you hear from the lawyer, Rodney Reed's lawyer, he may say, oh, it's just, he was a suspect. It wasn't really proven. Maybe that's true, but it's very misleading. If your DNA, your actual sperm is found within 6 other women who have open rape cases, rape and murder or whatever, I mean, that's a pretty big indication that it could be you. In the case of Stacey Stites, maybe it wasn't because there was an affair going on. But when your DNA is found within a disabled woman, a 12-year-old girl who had her house broken into and was violently beat and raped by a man.
Hold on, let's read that. When the Austin Chronicle put Rodney Reed on the cover of his May 24, 2002 issue, Who Killed Stacey Stites, there was no mention of his history of alleged sexual assaults until about 4,000 words into a 5,000-word story. After proudly pointing out that Reed was acquitted of the only rape charge he faced in court, Chronicle Crime reporter Jordan Smith wrote, Reed and his family say they can prove he did not commit the other assaults, leaving it at that. Maybe instead of asking who killed Stacey Stites and serving as the mouthpiece of the defense, the Weekly should have wondered why was Rodney Reed semen inside a badly beaten 12-year-old girl. There is DNA evidence that while Reed was out on bail in the Wichita Falls case, he beat, raped, and sodomized a 12-year-old fast-strapped girl. The DNA testing from the Stites rape would tie him to that case, which never went to trial because Reed was sent to death row in 1998. Why the fuck? Yeah, okay. You get. He's on death row. I don't give a fuck. You still try this motherfucker for that 12-year-old girl. I don't give a fuck. If they got evidence that he raped, try him for that too. They don't stop trying motherfuckers. You're gonna let that slide. That don't even make sense. And look, he don't even put a source up. Who the fuck wrote this article? Y'all don't ask the right questions. Who the fuck wrote this? There's no name up here.
Okay. I don't think you could say, oh, it was a consensual relationship or anything like that with a 12-year-old or with a disabled person. So what's really going on? The reason why he got death row is because he was seen as a serial rapist, somebody that could not be let back out into society. That's why he got that. So while he may be innocent of the Stacey Stites case, possibly, I mean, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I mean, it's not a stretch to think that he would kill somebody after he rapes them when he has like 6 other rapes that he's linked to. It wouldn't really be a big stretch. It just so happened that her husband or husband-to-be was also a rapist. You see what I'm saying? So, but it's not a stretch to say that he actually did that. Just because he may be innocent in that case does not mean he is innocent in general. It's like Central Park 5. Shout out to my man Brandon Tatum. I saw his video. He brought up that whole point. Central Park 5 may have been innocent of a particular thing they got convicted of, but not of everything that they were implicated in and therefore convicted of as a totality. Like if I rob a 7-Eleven or something and I get 30 years, somebody says, hey, it was just one crime, first offense, this, that, and the third. But then they don't tell you about the other things that are in the case. You see the big headline, guy robs a store. He didn't have.
Hold on, man. My cousin pulled over some gifts and shit. I gotta get each my bitch.
Yo, big bass, big business, baby. Hey.
All right, yeah, we ain't gonna be able to get to the rest. But man, yeah, man, I'm telling you, man. I just want to run down the whole thing, man. Peace, yeah, man. Peace, man.